side. Around the
Make
t-shirt
yourself
side.
comfortable however you can there. Again, really do appreciate you guys all coming
No,
in
and
together.
I'm sorry, it's just taken a while. It's been a crazy few months. Sorry about that.
Yep, quite all right.
And it's punctuated at every meeting. We have Graham Holland at our fire district meetings wanting to talk. We
Sure.
actually have changed our meeting processes because he is, and I understand the guy's grieving. I'm certainly sympathetic to the situation, but man, oh man, oh man, I'm sure he's making your guys' lives difficult too.
Well, this investigation here is because he is the executor of Grace Holland Estate, and as such, he's going over all the property that she has, and there are 4 jewelry items. I know I just spoke to you, Neil, about it, that he is saying is missing from her property. So that this whole interview here is just trying to figure out information on when these items were last seen, who may have packaged these items and delivered them to who, and just kind of just
Understood.
track these items down from beginning to end as best we can.
Understood.
So the 4 items in question are diamond stud earrings, 0.5 carat diamond stud earrings, valued at $700.
Okay.
An 18-inch pearl necklace, valued at $875. The 2 carat engagement ring, white gold diamond engagement ring, appraised at $21,000. And the matching wedding band, which I think I just really have a guess estimate for, was right around $1,000. Do you have a better estimate for that for me, Rob?
That'd be about right.
About right?
Yeah, 1,000, 1,200, somewhere in there.
Okay. All right, so can you tell me when, or where, like, prior to Grace's death, where were those jewelry items stored within your house over on Fairview? I'm sorry, on
So,
Fairways.
Fairways.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you on the diamond earrings. Don't even remember seeing those. The pearl necklace, I remember seeing in the nightstand. I packed that up. It was in a red box, and I put that in the tote that had her purse and the kids' like birth certificates and stuff that she had. I kind of put that all together because I thought that was important. The engagement ring and the band, those were thrown back at me up at the fire station. I took them back. There was a guy that was there that witnessed that go down. I did take them back. And then after her death, I went to the ring box afterwards, and there were no rings in there. So at some point in time, don't know when, the rings were taken back, taken, however, obviously, that's where I put them back in the box and put them on my back in my dresser.
Okay.
So those, well, 2.1, she gave them back, so that, in my opinion, they shouldn't even be part of this. And second to that, she took them at some point. Well, she would have been the only one that would have taken them.
What's the approximate time period we're talking about between her throwing these rings at you at the firehouse and then the last time you saw them prior to her, or at the time of her death?
Maybe a couple months.
Couple months?
Yeah. It was within that year. It was earlier on. We were back and forth, together, not together, so.
I think it's important that you tell the detective about what would have happened the week before Grace died. Okay?
Okay, so yeah, a week before Grace passed, she moved out, and Graham moved her out. So she was at the house, she had full access to the house, she had the house codes, alarm codes, came and went as she wanted. I was working, I came home, we were arguing about her moving out and leaving. I came home, house was clear. And when I talked to her, because we were still talking and texting and stuff, when I talked to her, her and her dad moved everything out.
So that it's clear to him, you weren't present when she was coming in, right?
No,
She had free access to the house.
that's correct.
Okay. And you weren't there, so you don't know for sure that Graham was there. She only told you that Graham was there.
That is correct. I didn't
Right.
see Graham there, and I didn't have any cameras or anything like that, but that's what she told me, and
And where you kept things like the engagement ring, that was in a drawer that would have been accessible, or was it locked, or?
it was not locked. It
Okay.
wasn't in a safe or anything. It was in my tall credenza.
Okay, did she know where that was?
I don't,
They were in a box inside a credenza in the master bedroom?
they're in the ring box
Oh, they're in the
inside
ring
the
box.
upper credenza. I mean, I didn't tell her that they were in there, but
Okay.
she would have been able to find them. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay,
that's where I kept all my jewelry was in there.
okay. Beyond, in that particular day when she moved the stuff out, did she take only her items?
No, and there were other things that were taken that I discovered later on.
Of your personal items?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one thing I noticed right away that was gone was a 70-inch flat screen TV. So that was brand new in the box because her daughter Katie broke the flat screen television accidentally, and Grace was replacing it. So she bought a TV,
To
had it
replace them,
delivered
okay.
to have. So that was gone. Initially, that's what I noticed. But at that point, I was like, she's moved out. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. And then after she passed, and I started going through things of my own because I was moving, that's when I discovered the ring is missing. There was like a Dyson hairdryer. There was a Dyson upright. And there were my cufflinks that she had bought for me were gone out of my cufflink thing. So those aren't things that I would have normally been looking for.
What's a Dyson upright?
Vacuum.
vacuum?
Yeah, it was there were two of them I had. One was upstairs, one was downstairs. The one downstairs was gone.
Are you married, Kurt?
I am.
Your wife would know.
It was a Dyson hairdryer.
Okay.
That was it was a red one because it was like an anniversary or something, but it was like a $500 hairdryer. But it was in underneath the things. Like I don't use a hairdryer, But those are the things that like beyond the TV. Then when I started going and packing things up to move, I'm like, oh shit, that's missing. I don't always wear cufflinks, but I have a cufflink thing, and then I'm like, oh shit, those are gone.
Were those stored next to in the credenza as well? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, those would have been in there as well.
What's the value of the cufflinks?
Those were probably about a couple grand. I would assume they were diamond, so
2,000?
yeah, I'd say.
And what's the value of the, you said 500 for the hairdryer.
500 for the hairdryer.
What's the
It's
value of the
probably the upright, maybe, I don't know, 400, 500 bucks.
Okay.
And the TV, 70-inch flat screen, $1,500, somewhere in there,
Do you remember the make and model? Or the
It's a
make?
Samsung. It was a Samsung, yeah, because that's what all their stuff was. So, again, and even when I noticed these other things missing, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just really kind of was like, it was tragic enough, her taking her life, and I wasn't gonna make waves with, because I was usually working with you guys on things, and I wasn't gonna make waves of saying, hey, this is missing, and this is missing, and this is missing. I'm like, just,
Sure.
we're gonna move on. Yeah, we'll just move on. And that's still where I am, with things,
So when you say that Graham and her moved out a week prior to her death, and you came home and you kind of said the house was like clear,
Mhm.
like what, are you talking big furniture items she took, or what kind of items are you talking about that she
TV,
took?
personal items. So the kids still had stuff there in the spare bedroom. She's had stuff in the other spare bedroom 'cause she used the other closet.
So
There was stuff
clothing
that-
was still there?
No, everything was
Oh,
gone.
she took all of her clothing?
Yeah,
Okay.
everything was gone.
Oh,
So
well, wait a minute, what was in the garage then?
then there was stuff in the garage too. Yeah, I was getting to
Okay,
that.
so I think you guys, you're not listening to what he's saying.
Okay.
So she didn't remove everything from the house when she and Graham moved out? Because the clothes were still in the garage, right?
There was some stuff left in the garage,
Okay.
and I'm assuming that they probably couldn't get it all in his van and car, I guess.
Okay.
Or she took what was most valuable. It
Okay.
wouldn't make sense, somebody's moving. And then she came back later on,
Okay,
yeah, about a week later, so she moved out, and then she came back, and then she came back with her Jeep and
okay,
had some items that she brought back into the house
okay,
that
Oh, she, okay.
were packed up
okay.
late at the end.
Do you know where she stayed for that week?
Yeah, she stayed at her sister's house for a while. Right prior to that, she was staying with her sister, Lori, at her boyfriend's house. I think his name was Nick, if I remember correctly. He was the doctor.
What's the
Um,
sister's name?
Lori.
Lori, okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
And-
She's multiple sisters, right?
Yeah, there's Lori and Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah's the one that lives in Oregon, and then Lori is the one that lives locally. So Lori, she lived with Lori for a while, because Lori was trying to watch her. And then she moved back, but she still had, she had stuff. She had stuff at her dad's house. She had stuff at Lori's house. She had stuff at my house. She kind of moved around. Even in the 4 years that we were seeing each other, it wasn't uncommon for her to be like, well, I gotta go back down to my parents because I want to get this dress or these shoes or something. So she wasn't completely moved into my house either. So it's if she brought stuff up from her dad's house, it would usually stay there. It's not like she would bring it back.
Sure.
But she still had stuff there. And then Lori also was in and out of relationships. She was married, divorced. She moved a couple of times. I helped her move. And so she had stuff at her dad's house. And it's just like very nomadic. She had stuff everywhere.
Okay, got it. All right, so let's see where we were on the first question. The last time you saw, where everything was stored, you saw in the credenza, the last time you saw was about 2 months prior to her death, when you put
Correct.
it in there in the credenza. That's the last time you saw the ring and the wedding band.
Correct.
The last time you saw the necklace,
That's when I packed it up.
you packed that up.
That would have been post her death.
And the last time you saw the diamond stud earrings.
I don't even remember seeing them.
Don't even know anything about
Yeah.
this. Okay. Okay. And then the last time you remember seeing these items after her death, earrings never saw, necklace when you personally packed it up,
Mm-hmm.
and you never saw the two rings, the wedding band or the
That's
engagement
correct.
ring after her death. You never.
After her death.
When
Never.
you went back to look, they weren't where they were
weren't
before.
where I left them, which was in the ring box, and never came across.
Was the ring box still there, but empty? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
Ring box was there. No rings in it.
And do you remember, like, how many days after her death that would have been when you noticed that? Was that just like that day, the next day, weeks later, or anything?
It probably would have been maybe about a week later or so, because it took me a while to kind of get back. Because they had to cut the flooring out and do some things like that because of the blood and everything. So it took me a while to get back.
So you didn't actually go back to that residence for about a week after that date?
Yeah.
Were you living full-time in your secondary address on?
I went and stayed with my mom.
Okay. So then you returned about a week later.
And my sister had been packing things up. And I finished packing up items, as I said, that like last tote.
When you guys went back a week later, you and your family all kind of got there and worked together to pack up?
They were already packing.
They were packing during that week when you weren't,
Yeah,
you were
they were
gone?
trying to take care of things, so I didn't have to deal with them because I was going through a pretty rough stint there. And then I went back and finished packing up her things in the bedroom. And, that was it. And put it in a tote, and then all the totes went into the garage.
So the stuff that you packed, that was gonna be the necklace,
Yes, sir.
and what other, like, I guess just general items? Are we talking clothing items, or are we talking what other
There was
items did you pack?
some clothing items. Her purse was in there, her purse, her wallet. The kids' documents were out. some clothing things, you know, the pearl necklace I remember because that was in the nightstand. You know, just the last kind of things that were there were put in that tote, and then all the totes were put out in the garage. And then I was contacted later by the other detective.
Parker?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and said that the family wanted to get her Jeep and her items, and he coordinated that and was there when the items were picked up.
And that was to her ex-husband, Chris Kuhn.
Correct.
Okay.
And he brought Sarah, the other sister, from Oregon, and they loaded up his Jeep and her Jeep, and then he left in Grace's Jeep, and Sarah drove his Jeep, and Detective Parker was there the whole time. We moved the totes out of the garage to the driveway. They showed up. Detective Parker went out. Said, "Okay, here you go. These are the items." They loaded them all up and they left.
All totes, everything that was left that you, your sisters, and
Everything.
you
Yep.
had discovered that was in the house belonging
Yep.
to Grace and her kids
Yep.
was in these totes that were in the garage that were then taken, absolutely everything all at once by Chris Kuhn and Sarah.
Correct.
And I can probably look up the date of that, but that was was that just a couple days after?
No,
Or
it
was
was,
that like a
it was
week
a little
later?
while after.
Yeah.
It was a while. It was a
Okay.
while after because I actually called Detective Parker a couple of times of like, well, whenever they want to come get this, they come get it, because obviously her car being in the driveway was just a bad, grim reminder of things, and honestly, I wanted it gone. You know,
Okay.
I was trying to get my feet on the ground with everything, and it was bad enough as it was being in the house, so I wanted everything, you know, like,
Okay.
here, come get her things, here it is.
And we wanted the detective present because there were some things that have happened. So they apparently took all the flowers off her grave and they ground them up and they threw them on his front yard and things like that. Just
Yeah, Detective Parker came back out to my house
Right.
for that,
ugly.
Got it.
yeah.
Sad is really the better description, huh?
So then I guess the one item that we can remember packing is the necklace that was in the tote, that was then in the garage, that was then put into either Chris or Sarah's vehicle. So the last time we know anything about the necklace, the possession was given to Chris and Sarah.
Yeah, that is who, according to Detective Parker, that is who the family chose to come get her items.
But you saw them. Were you there when this was going on?
Yeah, I stood outside
Okay.
with Detective Parker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer is yes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the ring is, in my understanding, the Holland Estate is saying that you have reported this missing to your insurance company now, made a claim on it?
Mhm.
Okay. And which insurance company do you go through?
State Farm?
State Farm. And did you make that insurance claim right after you discovered, like the day or right when you discovered that ring was missing?
I discovered it missing, and shortly thereafter, yeah, I couldn't exactly remember when, but I called State Farm and said, ring's gone, don't know where it is. Had it, don't have it, don't know where it is, don't know what she did with it,
You hadn't laid eyes on it in 2 months, over 2 months at that point?
it's gone.
Okay.
Don't know when it went.
And how much longer did you live at that Fairway Circle address before you fully moved out and moved down to full-time down at Conway?
I didn't stay there at all.
You never went back to stay there at all after? Okay.
I was only there for them to make repairs to the hardwood floor, and I was there to get it on the market. I never stayed there another night.
Okay. And then, I guess, who packaged you, prior to your moving, who packaged all your stuff and moved all your stuff to your new address?
I packaged up all of my personal items, and then the guys from the fire station helped me move. They came over and moved all the big items. We had the whole crew come over and did it in one day.
Okay.
And so every drawer was emptied, every closet was gone through, because we was gonna sell the house, so everything was gone through, so,
Nothing was left behind?
no.
Okay. And which kind of leads me into the next question then. After you moved in, fully down at Conway and you're unpacking everything, have you since then come across any items that still remain that belong to Grace that,
No.
whether it could be, a valuable item or just something that's non-valuable, is anything that was
No.
left that was hers?
No, I didn't come across anything. I could say that before it was packed, but yeah, unpacked, but, 'cause I haven't unpacked everything, but,
Did you say you haven't unpacked everything?
I mean, there's still some stuff from the bar and stuff I haven't unpacked, things like that, some of the liquor bottles and stuff, but I packed all that up, so I know that everything was gone through. I mean, there's not like a drawer that would have not been gone through. Everything was gone through, and I went through all my stuff there, and if it was stuff I didn't want, I threw it away right then and there. I didn't even move it. I just got rid of it. So, you get the drawers with junk in it,
But getting back to the question, were any of those things that you would have thrown away Grace's, that
No.
you knew to be Grace's?
No.
Okay.
No, I would have given it, if I'd have run across anything from her, I would have got a hold of Detective Parker, and I would have brought it up here to the station, and I'd have dropped it off to get it back to the family, because that was kind of the do-si-do of things to do.
Got it. So, is this the engagement ring? I know it's a side angle, but is that the engagement ring that you had bought for Grace?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you if that is or is not. We had two sets of rings. She had the diamond ring that was real, and then she had a dummy set that
Okay.
she would wear.
Cubic zirconia type, fake? Or?
Yeah, fake. Yep, just to wear, like if we were traveling, she wouldn't wear the ring. She would wear the fake ring. So I don't know if that's the real one or not.
Okay. Did she
I
have
couldn't tell you.
was the fake one like almost like the same model as the real one, or was it almost hard to decipher? Or were they completely different?
No,
Okay.
they were cathedral style. It's just like
Okay.
this one is. Yeah.
Okay. And the only reason I asked is because I know you said that you didn't see the ring 2 months prior to her death and beyond. But when we were over there on the day of her death, I was photographing the bedroom, and I photographed this because that looked to me to be the engagement ring that was sitting there on your dresser on the day of her death. So I was figuring it was present in the house on July 22nd of last year, if that is in fact the real one. And then I think the last thing I got for you here, Robert, is that, so I told you the Holland Trust is claiming ownership of that ring, right? And I know you said that she came back and she threw it at you, so you said, hey, this is my ring now, which of course will be documented in my report.
Mhm.
Their argument is that some of these text messages that between you and her, you can read these and see what I'm talking about here. So I think we need to develop a timeline. So in those, you guys are having an argument via text, and a couple different times you mentioned, hey, I gave you the ring. I told you take the ring and leave. You can keep the ring. You can keep the $600 that's mentioned in there in one of those somewhere, and get out so I can figure out my life and everything like that. So the argument I'm getting from the other side here is that shows you ceded ownership of the ring, and you're saying, hey, that's your ring. So that's the Holland Estates argument why they are claiming that to be their property at this point. Does that make sense to you?
I can see why they would, they can say that. This, this is, this relationship was in so much turmoil. I probably would have said anything to get her moved out.
So I guess now I'd like to get a timeline of you know, you're kind of saying, hey, this,
I
just
think
the way it
those-
reads,
those
just
kind
kind
of-
of,
Let him
Yeah,
finish
go
the
ahead,
question.
go ahead.
just the way these, you know, read on paper, right? Just saying, hey, this ring is yours, take the ring, get out of my life, right? That's kind of just the overall gist of this.
I got you.
You're telling me a different story where she comes up and says, you know, whatever, screw you, Rob, takes these rings on, you know, obviously she's throwing the rings at you, she's saying, I'm done, she's out of this relationship, right?
That's
I-
correct.
I'm, okay,
That's
I
correct.
don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yep, no, I would say that'd be a fair
Do
assumption.
you know a timeline on what came first here? Was this right at the, did the throwing of the ring happen, you said 2 months before death, right?
Though, that would have been the throwing of the ring was the most recent of event. This kind of stuff, I mean, went back and forth, you know, all the time. You know, she wasn't working, she didn't have any money, you know, heck, somewhere in there, I'm sure you'll find, I offered to, you know, you can stay at the house and I'll move to the other house until you know, get employment and stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of things that were thrown out there to try to make a amicable, smooth, you know, place, because she didn't have a place to go and she didn't want to move back in with her parents and things like that. So it was always kind of like, heck, I even offered to, you know, pay for an apartment. Like, hey, I'll pay for an apartment to have that break, to have that movement. So, but that was stuff that was thrown out just like this. I mean, Jesus. I mean, the 4 years we, you know.
So these
back and
texts, if I'm understanding you right, you're saying these kind of texts went on for years in this relationship
forth prior to her throwing the ring back.
prior to her throwing the ring back, which occurred approximately, you know, we'll say May, yeah, we'll say like mid-May of last year, because she,
But we've obviously gone over all these texts. We've given you these texts.
sure.
What are the dates on these particular texts? Do we know?
I'd have to go back and look at that, Neil, I don't know that
Okay,
offhand.
that is kind of important for us to have if we're establishing a timeline, since we would have them in here. Okay? But, go ahead, Rob, I interrupted your answer.
I couldn't tell you when those exactly were. You know, I could say that, you know, it wasn't uncommon for us to argue about money. The ring, you know, was a kind of way to move her on, you know, the same way as offering to pay for an apartment, offering, hey, look, I'll move to the other house, you can stay in this house at the Fairways house until you find another place to go. Those kinds of things, I mean, those kind of things were pretty often
Okay,
shot back and forth. I mean, they were just ways of trying to bring the relationship to a conclusion, you know, and kind of have a breakup that was, didn't want to throw her out on the street, she didn't know where to go, and she didn't want to move back in with her parents, you know, so that's where she stayed with Lori. You
Okay,
know.
so I just want to leave it clear for the detective. In terms of her returning the ring to you, once the ring was returned to you, it went in that box and you never gave it back to her, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so
That's
again, so that it's clear, that went in the box, stayed in the box. The first you discovered it was after she was dead.
That's
The-
correct.
The box was empty. when I
That's
put it that way. Okay, okay.
okay. And I guess we can go back and do a better timeline on those texts, but do you remember after she threw the ring back at you, was there any other text of that caliber saying, you know, the ring's yours, keep it, get out, after she threw it back at you, or do you think that kind of ceased those texts and those types of conversations?
And again, without looking at the text and looking at the timeline, we don't know exactly the date that she came to the firehouse, right?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, all right, okay. So again, I think we'd have to look at that detective and sort of figure that out in
Yeah.
terms of what and where. But that's why I wanted to make clear that, again, from the point where she returned the ring to you to the point where you discovered the ring was missing, never again did you give the ring to her.
That's correct.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Robert, I think that is all the questions that I had written down that I wanted to ask you. Is there any questions that you or Neil or either of you guys had for me?
No, I think I'm there.
Good, okay. Robert, I think I have all your pedigree, but the road is now your full-time
That's
address.
correct, yes.
Got your phone number, got all that, so I think I'm good. I just probably need to get a little information from your sisters. So.
Okay.
Robert, thank you for coming in.
All right, no problem. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Clear things up there.
we get out here.
I'm hoping you can.
There we go.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.